No. Do you feel like a mess sometimes?
No.
No? Quit lying to me.
Okay, yeah.
It's got to be true.
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Why?
I told you why. It was personal reasons.
Too personal to say. Gotcha. How would you feel if you could work through that mess? This is not an infomercial.
I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Would you do it if you could?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Do you think that has to be a skill to be trained to implement things to get better?
Of course. Okay, yeah,
so
100%.
Just because the solution's there, you're not gonna just,
Yeah, I think
just do
a
it.
lot of things are just skills you need to pick up or improve.
Like what?
Like for me recently was getting in tune with myself.
I feel like that's a lifelong thing.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
you know, it just
kind
took
of a
me,
general
24 years to start doing it, you know?
hey, you'll probably be 60 years old and be like, I'm finally in tune with myself, you know? And then you'll be almost dead and you'll be like, I'm finally in tune with myself. So I have a feeling like one is never quite perfectly in tune with themselves. They can be pretty good, but I don't know. Anyway, so I've been on that kind of note, things need to be trained. Last week we were kind of talking about some things and brought up like meditation as a solution for de-stressing and kind of taking a break. And so we were going to look into that, correct?
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because you look into meditation and I'm thinking, relaxation is meditation in a way, things kind of disappearing from your brain and you're going to be relaxed. And it's not exactly quite that. It seems that there are certainly a lot of different types of meditation, first off, more than just the two we were talking about.
Okay, so online, I did just do a quick engine search on it, but I saw just articles or blogs or all sorts of different types of things, different websites that have their own app. And I've seen many different types of meditation, but in terms of like how many there are, because some say they're like 9, then there's 16, then there's 18.
So I feel like there's probably groupings. I didn't get far enough into it to probably get the perfect groupings, but I feel like things, they're similar, but you could mix and match, combine, slightly differentiate, and you could probably get an infinite amount of ways to meditate if you look at it that way.
Okay.
I just kind of looked at, the more common ones and kind of their implementation. But I also found that most of these types of meditation, they can bring on relaxation, but it's not necessarily, the point of them isn't just to relax per se. It's to train yourself in something else. And some of those things will bring relaxation, peace of mind, and other things like that. So you're training your brain and you're training yourself in various different ways. And the product of that is something better, something more relaxed, more focused, something like that. So I actually found that despite what I thought, it's not about, just sitting there like, just peace of mind. And although that will be a product and can be a product, it's more about training in a specific manner. So, and I know you were looking up kind of the history of it or a history of it. What'd you kind of find in that respect?
Before that, you just talking about that reminded me of a video I saw about a monk explaining kind of how meditation works. Before, most people think of it as the, hand gesture and the Om. This monk described it. I mean, he didn't really describe it. He kind of told you how you can do it, because you don't need to be in a position like that to meditate. You can meditate anywhere at any time. You can even just look into the clouds and just meditate with your eyes open, meditate on, here or there. It doesn't have to be a specific spot or position or anything, which I thought was interesting because I never thought of it like that. Like meditating with your eyes open and just staring at something.
Yeah, you growing up, and obviously I wasn't around a lot of people meditating, but whenever anyone was talking about meditation, it was always, get in a comfortable position and close your eyes. It was never, keep your eyes open or anything like that. It was always just close your eyes and breathe, which there's a lot of that you can do in these different types, but that's not all it is.
I think the eye closing part is just trying to focus more without any distractions.
It can be an aid because, I mean, most of your brain is set up for, movement and visuals. And so if you stop moving and you kind of keep the visual to a minimum, then you're relaxing your brain in a way it doesn't have to use itself so much. So
do you know Latin?
No, I know of Latin.
Okay, well,
is it a person? No.
Did you want to guess the Latin word to meditate?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right.
You're probably not.
But in an English accent is meditatum.
Meditate.
You know what it means?
To focus?
To ponder.
To ponder. Okay.
Yeah. Ponder about what?
Yeah, no shit. Like to ponder. Okay.
Oh yeah, but so more of the history on meditation. There's no date that it really goes back to. So it's just kind of up in the air.
That, yeah.
It can be pretty much just brought as far back as, when shamans or hunter-gatherers were known to be existing. It could be around that time. It could be a little bit before. No one knows. But we definitely know that those hunter-gatherers and shamans do know how to meditate and has been passing it down through generations. So I thought that was kind of interesting. At least we can get some sort of basis of when it started.
I almost have a feeling, since it's because it's kind of a thought-based thing, that no matter what, even if you've never been around it or don't know what to call it, at some point in your life, if you were completely isolated from people meditating in the word meditation, that you would probably end up formulating something like meditation often in your, just in practice and in your thoughts and in your mind. And you might never call it meditation. You might not have that fixed way of doing it, but you would probably, have your own type and do it a specific way. And just because it's so thought based.
And what's crazy? People could just do this and not be able to call it something.
Not even know it.
And then you just imagine other people just being, why are you so like this? And then you just have no words to describe it or how you do it. You just I imagine this.
I feel like people do it during the day more than they think they do. Because one of the ways is, or a big part of it is becoming conscious. Like a type would be kind of becoming conscious of your own thoughts and such. And you don't have to do that on purpose per se for you to kind of be like, why am I thinking that? Like people do that all the time during the day. They go, why did I think that thought? Like, that's a little weird. And then but that's a form of meditation. But if they do it intentionally, that's more of what we call meditation.
Gotcha. So you can still do it subconsciously in a way.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Has that ever happened to you?
All the time. Yeah. And so I was reading through.
Okay. So do you just stare off into something and then you just think about stuff, or
it depends. And if I run through the types, it'll make a lot more sense what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Just you'll be able to see where you're like, oh, I've done that. I just didn't do it for 20-minute sessions, or I was working on this one thing and I did that for 8 hours straight. So it's things people do. It's not something that's just kind of in this section over here, like, oh, that's meditation, you have to go and do that. It's things people do already. I think the difference when you meditate is it's more intentionally doing that. That's what I think the difference is between just doing it and calling it meditation.
Gotcha.
Is when you call it meditation, you have the intention of doing it, is what I feel.
Yeah,
That's what I would think.
I see where you're coming from. To me, it's still the same.
Yeah, I mean, it is the same. It is the same,
But
whether you know it or not. But
I understand where you're coming from. Like, if you are going to do it, you can just label it meditation.
yeah, you have a name for it.
Subconsciously, it's just, if you just do it, you just kind of do it.
Yeah, you might be working on a bike or something, and you just do it. You might say, "Oh yeah, I was working on bike, and I thought this."
I was working on bike.
I was working on a bike and thought this.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
Well, okay. So going down more further, meditation became a lot bigger through the influence of the Asian culture. So over in the east, my Eastern brothers.
if you go far enough east, is that considered the West?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. I think east is just a directional.
Yeah, if you're looking at the
thing,
map. Yeah.
But anyway, so Buddhists use meditation as a formal component in a spiritual way, because Buddha, big impact. He lived in Southeast Asia about 2,600 years ago. So even though it's 2,600 years ago,
It's not that much time.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's like, how many generations is that? Like 26 generations, not that long.
But Buddha, being the way he is, he inspired other people to sit in a mindful awareness through breathing, and there were 3 different types of training. I couldn't find these specific types of training, but they did mention one, and it was just meditative concentration. I don't know what that necessarily means.
Oh, we'll hit that.
Yeah, is that really one?
It's included. You'll see it. You'll see it.
Cool.
I'll have to find it.
I didn't know that was a type of meditation, so I'm glad that you're able to follow.
I mean, you just said 3 types, so.
I mean, 3 types of training. I didn't know that was like 3 types of.
Dude, meditation is training.
Okay,
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I got it. Okay, and then the other 2 were just proper ethical conduct and wisdom of seeing things as they truly are. So I guess it's mostly just like being aware, which we talked about in one of our previous podcasts, being aware and subconscious and conscious and all that.
Oh shoot, awareness versus being conscious. God, that was kind of
Yeah. That was a
can of worms I wasn't prepared for. Yeah.
But yeah, so there are those 3 different types of training, and people would just travel to gain insight on his teachings. So people would just travel to him and just learn this, and it just became a very big thing. And that's why he was so respected and inspired so many people, because his way of living was just one that other people wanted and gave them more peace of mind. And like it said, just seeing things how they truly are and just accepting things.
So I'm kind of curious, since your family's from the East, they're from Vietnam, right?
Yes.
And I've seen kind of like Buddha influences in your house. How has that kind of influenced you and your family's culture and just your exposure to that? I want to say religion, I'll just say religion, but those teachings, have you kind of caught wind of those teachings?
So with me and my family, I would say that my sister and I were exposed to the teachings, but we weren't really explained why or how to do things. So even now, I'm still unsure how to do things. Every now and then when we were younger, my parents aside from, just going to temples, which we occasionally still do, aside from that, when we were younger, we would have, the Buddhist shrine in our house, and we would take incense and then we would just pray. I wouldn't know what to pray for, so I would just sit there with these incense in my hands, just sticking out from above like this. And I'm just thinking nothing. I'm just like, what do I do? What do I pray for? And then just recently, maybe not that recently, I think maybe a year and a half ago, I learned that, you should always pray for, I guess, the dead too, like my grandparents. I don't know my grandparents either, so I'm just like, how am I supposed to do that? But my sister is able to, and it's just very weird because, like I said, no one was taught how to do things or why we do things. It was just do it.
So does it kind of feel like a bit of an empty gesture when you do it?
Yeah, definitely. So we're here praying to Buddha. Don't know. I think I generally just stick to, I just protection for the family, really. Hopefully nothing bad happens to us type of stuff. And that's kind of my default. That was my default. We still go to Buddhist temples and do all the chanting and sitting down on our knees, praying, that sort of stuff. Not as much anymore now that we're older. But it's something we used to do, and it took hours.
Do you think at some point in your life you'd actually grow into those practices again, kind of realize their meaning, and actually take that meaning in and go, oh, I understand this, and I'm going to do this too?
I feel like I would definitely take some of the things into practice. Just like I know how much meditation helps people, not, just specifically how Buddhists meditate, just kind of in general, and just being more mindful and aware of everything. So in a way, there is that getting to enlightenment, but not to the degree that they go to, as in like worldly possessions type of like.
How are you going to reach enlightenment without trying to get to that degree, man?
I mean,
that's kind of interesting though.
Yeah, so
I wonder, maybe we should talk about that on another podcast, because it seems like you've kind of been around that culture a little bit, and we can maybe explore some things, and you might have some anecdotes on maybe stuff you've seen or heard.
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember just sitting through a bunch of chants. Like, just words that I do not understand. It was neither Cambodian, Vietnamese.
Did it have an effect on you though? Did you feel something while you were there in any manner?
I got tired. Being on your knees for like 2 hours, just in this position, just I don't even know the words. Like, it just sounds like a bunch of sounds to me.
Sounds like you don't know the words, yeah.
And no, I'm pretty sure I've asked my sister, and it's like, yeah, I don't understand.
She doesn't know the words?
Like, it literally just sounds like elongated words. That's it.
So is it supposed to be words? Do you know?
I don't know, but everyone fucking knows it.
All right, man.
So I know they're not made up words.
It's something that everyone does. Okay.
Yeah. So there's some kind of rhythm or tune to it that everyone just knows.
Yeah.
The chant. Maybe it's just one single chant that just takes bits and parts of it, and then people just do parts of it. Because like I said, just for multiple weddings, I think 2 or 3 weddings that were held in Vietnam when we went, always chanting for like from day like noon to dawn.
Did at your sister's wedding, I know you guys had she had two,
Yeah.
and the one in the morning was the more traditional
Yes.
type wedding.
We did do
You did
praying.
some chanting.
Yeah, we did do praying. For how long? I wouldn't say too long. Maybe, if I want to say, roughly 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But we walked around the restaurant too, holding, various objects in a line. And man, I just come to learn that Asians can't fucking form a line. Like, they can't stay in a fucking line, and it pisses me off. I'm just like, dude, get the fuck away from me. This is why you're stepping on me. Get away from me. You're like trying to get in front of me, but you're not supposed to.
It's a race.
It's very upsetting. Those are always very upsetting. Like, even
Is this every time you go into a line, people are trying to pass you?
I mean, every Asian line I've been in. Like, even in Vietnam, we had to do that, but it was for I think it was like a 2-3 mile walk.
Oh, jeez.
And it was just people stepping on you and trying to get in front of you. And it's just like, why the fuck? What? For what reason?
It's a line.
For what reason? Like, where the fuck are you going? Like, you're holding this specific thing in this position for a reason. There's a person right next to you with the exact same fucking thing. Just stay side by side by them. It's not fucking hard. Wow, I got triggered.
Apparently. It's one of those internal traumas being released.
Oh, okay. Well,
So back to that history.
yeah, back to this. So back in the East, Japan actually adopts meditation. And in the 7th century, a Japanese monk, Dosho, Dosho, traveled to China to study Buddhism under San Tsang.
You don't have to say names if you...
Yeah,
Okay,
but that person.
that one guy.
And so Dosho opened a meditation hall after training under that meditation master and started teaching his own form of sitting meditation. So that was cool. And it is known as Zazen. So I don't know what that is either.
I didn't look up the formal names of any of these, so...
But yeah, so that was pretty cool. He did his own form. So it just started spreading after the whole Buddhism thing.
Do you know how it got to the West?
Yes,
I know.
That's actually next.
Okay, because I know...
It's not as amazing as you think it is.
Well, because here's the thing. I know Native Americans meditated. They called it something different. And I think they called it medicine or something like that. I don't, they'd say, I'm going to go do medicine. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was. Or I don't know exactly, but there was meditation and ritual type stuff that they did.
But yeah, that's going back to what I said about the shamans and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it did originate then, just probably didn't have a name for it.
But something I see kind of nowadays is not so much that type of meditation. It's more like a simplified version of Eastern influences is what it feels like.
Okay.
Or from what I've seen.
I gotcha.
Because of like yogis and such.
Yeah. Meditation in the West. It was popularized in the mid 20th century. So fairly recently, which I definitely
So
see.
20th century is like 1900s, right?
I believe so.
Just making sure. I think it's always one behind.
But I think even in the past, 20 some years, I can definitely see a difference between then and now.
That's what I'm talking about with the it's kind of been simplified and just kind of pushed out there. It was separated from kind of its more religious type practices and separated from the spiritual type stuff. And so a lot of people were getting into it. And also there's been scientific study on it.
Yes.
And that kind of, I know that pushed it a lot more in the recent years.
All right. So there was an arrival of meditation masters from the East who were invited to, come to the West to share their skills and knowledge of meditation to people who are interested, really. Just interested students. And these students, or some other students, also traveled to the East just to learn meditation from other masters and just come back with that information to share with their family or friends. So it's not really anything special. It's just either one going to the other or, just going back and forth, really.
Do you know why they were invited over, or did they just come over and start sharing with people?
I actually don't know. I didn't read anything about that. All it said was they were just invited over. I was like, okay.
And so kind of once that started, I'm guessing then people are like, oh,
yeah,
maybe I can go over there and just learn straight from there.
Yeah. So, they would go to places like India, Thailand, Burma, just a bunch of other Asian countries just to learn that type of stuff and just come back with it. So it was very easy to spread because of those things, especially when you want to share them with your loved ones to try and, get them to think a little differently, feel differently, just, feel better, I guess. But you probably found this maybe, but the most influential figure in the sphere of mindfulness is Dr. John. I don't know.
No, I didn't know. No, I didn't find that.
John Calboat.
Let me see that.
It's really hard to read too.
Okay.
But you can look him up.
How are you supposed to look him up?
He is the founder. He founded the Center for Mindfulness at the University of Massachusetts Medical School in 1979.
How did that affect everything?
Well,
the scientific.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now I can see. Now I see what you're talking about. All right.
So he created that in 1979, which is mind blowing. Just a white dude.
It seems to be a common occurrence. They go, oh, this is cool, and then go research it. And that's like, this is why.
He also created the mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is the MBSR.
So I'm guessing that's where what people typically think of as meditation kind of came from.
Yeah. And so what that pretty much did was he brought in the benefits of meditation, the mindfulness practice, but without the spiritual aspect and the religion, which you spoke about a little earlier. So he is just a very, big person because he was the first just to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have.
That's what you got? I mean, that kind of brings it up generally to, there's probably so much more history, but
for sure.
That's a good overview of kind of how it got over here. So with meditation, first off, like we were saying, there's a shit ton of types, and it all kind of trickles down from a different type, or it's a derivative and such. So I'm just going to say some common types of meditation, and ones that will train similar but different aspects of your brain, and kind of they have their own benefits. And the way I kind of looked at it, I put down how you do it, some benefits, and maybe who would benefit from it. So I saw a couple videos, they did it in this format. So I combined a couple sources of information.
Okay.
And just kind of put this list down. So the first one that we'll talk about, and this one is most common that you find, would be the mindfulness breathing meditation. And you all right?
I was just so excited.
Breathe. But it's focusing on the sensation of breathing. And while you're doing that, when a thought appears, you notice it, you let it float around, and then you bring your focus back to breathing. So that's that awareness people are talking about, where it's like you're becoming aware of your own thought. You kind of see it come in, you let it be there, and then you let it fade away. And so you're kind of outside that thought.
In a way, if you're going back to breathing, is that kind of like a wow, more of a discipline thing too?
Yes. So this one actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's a combination of two types of meditation. And when I get to that other type, then we'll talk about it. But the first type that it's kind of combined with is open awareness meditation, and that's just the awareness of your conscious thought, the awareness of your thoughts, and practicing to observe your thoughts without judgment. So just seeing them as they go by, not being them, not being a part of them, not saying that's a terrible thought, just seeing that the thought is there and letting it drift away. And the benefit for that is increasing, creativity, problem solving, being able to look outside of something. It allows you to let go of your thoughts and help you not overthink.
And that's just with this one type of meditation.
Just this one. And they all have very similar benefits, but if you're overthinking, you're getting stuck on thoughts, maybe you become your thoughts, you think you are your thoughts. So separating yourself from you are your thoughts into being like, oh, I have a thought, but it's not necessarily me. And being able to observe that thought without saying it's good or bad immediately, just observing it. That'll allow you to kind of get outside of that overthinking and that judgment of yourself. So it kind of helps with those things. People, it would be good for people who like to be a little more creative with things, like to solve some more problems. That's a basic thing. Everyone wants to do that. Control your negative thoughts. So if you got like a busy brain and it's a lot of negative thoughts, this is something that's going to help you out with that, because it forces you to do this. You have to separate yourself from it, and you have to just observe them. So that's the first type. The second type that we're looking at is something called metta meditation, and that also known as the loving kindness meditation. And it's pretty much the purpose is to send love in all directions. Sounds very soft, right? But it has a purpose, and here's how you do it. You start with yourself, and you visualize and repeat kind of predetermined phrases or feelings of like, may I be happy, or something like that. Something positive. And you send love to yourself first. You have to do that with yourself. And then you do that with someone else. You visualize and repeat it. Maybe you say it sometimes, but I know the meditation itself, you don't have to say it to someone else, but you're just sending love in your visualizing brain to someone else. And then it would be someone that you don't know, or you don't know them as like a whole, and you send love to them. Like, okay, you don't know this person, but you're going to send love to them anyway. And then finally, someone that you hate, you got to send love to them. And you repeat those phrases in your mind, and you just send love, per se.
That's interesting.
The benefit is to increase empathy, emotional intelligence, social skills, and reduce emotional pain. Now, it also helps, it kind of makes you a more pleasant, happier person, per se, because, that person that you hate, you're not swirling with negativity when you think of them, because you're sending love to them. Maybe you won't judge them as much, or maybe you'll seek more understanding, that empathy. So those people around you, you won't be so hateful and you feel like you're closed off. You'll kind of have more of a joy about things, and you'll just be able to connect with people easier for that reason. And who is it for? Anyone who feels hateful or angry all the time. If you're just like, I hate the world, I hate people, and you're angry, this is something you might want to do. You're training your brain to be more empathetic, to think more about love than the hate of something. And yeah, it's pretty much just training yourself to be more loving and empathetic. And I feel like people need to do this all the time. Be appreciative. That's something that goes into it.
That is true. It's more difficult to appreciate something.
Because it's so easy. It is so easy to go, I hate that person. I really hate that person. Maybe they cross you. Like I've said it before, and I have to catch myself every time. Like, I don't really hate them. And then be like, okay, they're a person. They got their struggles. You know, if anything, I honestly wish them the best, because otherwise, you know, you don't want them to degrade. You want them to improve.
Have you ever thought of not like, hey, I don't hate this person, but I hate all these things about them. I wish them fucking luck in life.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't do these things. And then you also have to look at yourself and that kind of thing and go, okay, there's a lot of things people hate about me all the time. And so you can't just hate somebody for doing something. So you may not like it, and maybe the things they do are kind of severe and you may have to do some actions to stop it. But honestly, you really don't want to have those thoughts of just, I hate this person, because that person is not necessarily their actions or their thoughts.
Yeah.
So, and if you wish them well off and provide opportunities for them to do better, that's if they improve. And first off, a lot of people will try to be better. Most people want to be better. And when you give them that opportunity, they will try to fulfill that. And when they do get better, they may do less of the things that you hate, if those things are something that's, you know, generally bad, you know.
And this was just, I just want to make sure this most, right?
Most.
Okay.
Because sometimes people do things that you hate, but those things that you hate them for a very specific reason. And there's really no issue with them doing that thing. It's just you're picking up on it, you know. It's so I say most. And not everyone is willing to change. Not everyone wants to change. Not everyone has awareness.
Yeah.
A lot of people most people like staying where they are, but most people also want to do better and be good.
Have you ever dealt with someone who say they want to change, but just don't?
All the time. There's, I could think of a couple people right now that I'm just like, because you know, they're on the cusp of trying to improve themselves, and not necessarily do a self-improvement journey. I mean, just trying to be better. But you know, when you live most of your life in a terrible manner, or terrible things are happening to you all the time, like you grew up in a really rough situation, it's hard to turn off that fight or flight mode. It's hard to kill those habits that, you know, kept you alive, you know, kept you functioning in different parts and societies and such. So it's a little harder just to be like, do better. Like that's not it.
It's like their survival instinct. They needed to do it.
You can't change anyone. Is the thing. You can't change anyone. Only they can change themselves. And you can't get them to change themselves either. Which that's one of the hardest things to think about.
It is.
And just because you think something they do is wrong doesn't mean it actually is. How do you know what you think is wrong is actually wrong? Maybe they're right and you're wrong.
Because you've never been in their situation. You've never been in their shoes. And
you may think you're so aware and you're not. So it's one of those things where it's like, just send love to them. Just and send love to yourself. Because maybe you'll find that, oh, maybe I was in the wrong here. And then you're like, okay, that person has no issue. I was being hateful. That happens a lot. The next one I'm going to go over is guided meditation. Pretty much this is you follow an instructor or a narrator on anything. This is your apps, your videos, your even in person. And this kind of encompasses a lot of different types of meditation. It's just included in here because it's an easy form to get into. If you don't know what the hell to do, like if I were to start meditating, you know, that might be a little hard sometimes. Like, oh man, I want to do this type. I just don't know how, or I can't get myself to do it. It may be easier to follow along to a video. Like, hey, this is how the process is supposed to go. You know, hey, do this at this time. It kind of takes that takes that stress of like, I need to do it, and kind of just takes that away. Someone else is helping you through it. So you just kind of tag along and do it too. So it's easy to do, easy to get into, easy to start. So that's one of the biggest benefits. It's less intense.
So I started doing guided meditation.
Did it help?
Okay. Well, I want to say it does. But lately it has been like some dissociation with myself, and just having a guided meditation to keep myself grounded definitely did help. Although I did fall asleep to it.
Dude, that's totally fine. It's also used for like exploration. Maybe you just didn't know about a type of meditation. So it brings to your awareness things you didn't know, gaps in your understanding. So this isn't like, guided meditations aren't like only for beginners. Like experts do it too. It's, getting knowledge. Maybe they've been doing something a certain way and they do a guided meditation. They're like, oh, okay, I liked that. It was different from what I usually do. Yeah. And it helped me in a different way. So guided meditations are great. And the category of guided meditation pretty much encompasses all meditation, just guided.
Just someone else just like walking you through the steps.
Helping you along, providing something to just keep you going. The next one is focused attention meditation. And this is what was mixed with the breathing one. So it's any sort of meditation where you focus on a stimulus. And that could be sound, sensation, visuals. So something you see, you're seeing a bird, fly in circles. Maybe you're just focusing on that. Or maybe you're just focusing on a touch on your arm. Or, you're breathing. You're focusing on your breath, just how it feels to breathe in and out. So that is mixed with the open awareness meditation. That's how you get that mindfulness breathing.
The focused attention one sounds more of just trying to be more in the present and just focusing on
something that's going on. Maybe it's your heartbeat. Maybe you're just focusing on your heartbeat, or maybe externally the way the wind's blowing. This one, you don't have to do that awareness, like seeing your thoughts as they pass by. No, in fact, it's almost, take out your thoughts. Although you could still think, but it's just focusing on the sensation or the visual. Just that
maybe that was one of the teachings from the Buddhist thing, is just becoming aware of everything as it is. Yeah,
I'd feel like that kind of can go hand in hand.
So just maybe.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It would be that, because part of awareness is maybe your meditation is focusing on your body when you're sitting down. What is my body doing when I'm sitting down? I'm breathing. I can feel my heartbeat. I can feel, my stomach and my legs. I become aware of my legs. And so now when you're aware of all those things, that's something, becoming aware of everything. Your body is part of everything. Yeah. So you're becoming aware of that. And so focused attention, this is what I was talking about last time when I was talking about, like maybe your sport, like you're doing a sport or you're lifting and you're just focusing on the movement or the sensation of like a bicep curl. That's a meditation too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because I know everyone just calls it mind-muscle connection. That's it.
Exactly. You're focusing on a sensation, and that mind-muscle connection is legit. You're actually, you're allowing yourself to recruit more muscle and be able to actually consciously flex that muscle. Because a lot of people, they might do a movement, but they'll use a different muscle more than the other. So, yeah. But in weightlifting, this can really help with your lifts and help you build muscle. Because when you have a better mind muscle connection like that, people will be able to grow muscle faster, because you can actually intentionally work that muscle in a movement.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so literally anything that's visual, hearing, maybe a sound, maybe you just turned on some music and you were just focusing on the way the music sounds. maybe you turn on one tone and you're just listening to the way the tone sounds. It's just that focus. And honestly, I really like this one. It sounds just so peaceful and so interesting. But it could also be like in an exhilarating moment. You could, as long as you're just bringing attention to that. Benefits, it's easier to detect errors with things because you're just more sensitive to you can just see things better. You can become aware of things better.
Okay.
Because the way you're putting attention to it. Overcoming impulses. So, yeah. So if you are focusing on a sensation, right? Your whole goal, focus on, like, say the touch on your arm for like 20 minutes. In order to focus on that, you have to ignore other things.
Yeah.
And impulses are kind of thoughts that are like, hey, go do this. So you have to ignore, oh, get up and do your homework. No. You got to ignore that. You're just focusing on the sensation. So it kind of helps with focus in that point, in that kind of way, and impulse control. Yeah. So who is it for? Those who struggle with focus. If you struggle with focus, this is going to be something you want. And you can literally do it with anything that's interesting to you, which is the best part. You don't have to do something boring to you. Anything, just focus on the sensation or the visual or the sound. And that'll help you with your focus, impulse control, and also it kind of as a consequence, it'll help you beef up your school and work. You'll just do better because you can kind of focus on things better. So it's just increasing focus and all those benefits that come with that.
Okay.
You would probably want to start with just one thing. If you're focusing on too many things, you may not last that long, but yeah, just a little bit. Next one, mantra meditation. So this one is the focus of repeating a phrase or series of words. So this might be, I don't know, maybe like the chanting or something like that. The whole purpose, or you got to keep them positively phrased, kind of like this. It's like, I'm confident is better than saying I'm not anxious. Because if you say I'm not anxious, I'm not anxious, I'm not anxious, you might be more anxious. Like it's like, don't do this, don't hit that button, don't hit the button. All you want to do is hit that fucking button. Yeah. So it's instead say I'm confident, and then anxiety is nowhere to be found in that mantra. The benefits depend on the mantra. What are you saying to yourself? You might have increased confidence if you're saying, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident over and over. If, I don't know, another one, like I'll pick up on someone's emotion. No, I don't know. Actually, what would be a positive?
That's kind of hard to say because all I can think about is just like a personal thing you can just
you could say I'm courageous maybe, or I'm brave, and so maybe when there's adversity you would be more likely to take action or be courageous in that moment. So yeah, when you repeat the phrase, you start to believe it, and you're kind of programming yourself in the way that when you say something you listen to it too. So every day when you're like, oh, I'm a piece of shit, you're listening to that and you're programming in your head, I'm a piece of shit. And so you're going to act like a piece of shit or something like that. So what you're trying to do with this mantra meditation is reprogram yourself by saying it over and over and over, because you'll listen and you'll believe it.
Yeah. I want to say you find that a lot in just a lot of public speakers and just changing mindsets type of thing. So that's what I'm familiar with in the mantra meditation. I just never really made that connection. It was a type of meditation. So that's really interesting.
So when you do this, you could sit down and just start saying it. Or another way I've heard it is whenever you're either in the situation or start to have a thought that contradicts that mantra, you replace it with that mantra. Yeah. So you're just kind of aware when you're saying the opposite and you replace it, and you just try to reprogram yourself and keep negative programming away.
Is that where fake it till you make it comes from?
I think so. Which fake it till you make it has an essence of truth. I mean,
I used that in high school.
yeah, nothing will replace like the genuine thing. But if you fake it, you may pick up certain things, or you may try to mirror people in what they do, and you might actually learn something, and then you might actually become, real.
Yeah.
Although if you're just faking it and, say you're just spending a bunch of money because, all these people who have a bunch of money are spending it, but you don't have money.
Oh,
You're not gonna.
see, I wasn't thinking in a physical position type of way.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's the first example that came to my head. But
Gotcha.
yeah, in another way, just like, I'm confident.
No, that
You say that over and
I had
over.
to do that a lot in high school because my social anxiety.
And then you're gonna act confident, right?
I mean, it helps.
Generally, yeah. You may not know exactly how, but it may better yourself in that manner, and then you'll act a little more confident, and you're like, you know what, I am
I
confident.
definitely say that I am a lot more confident since doing that.
Say it again, except take out more. Just say, I am confident.
I could definitely say it made me more confident.
Stop programming yourself. Just say, I'm confident.
I mean, I'm confident.
No, cut out that first shit. Just say, I'm confident.
I'm confident.
Good.
Okay.
I see it too. You're a very confident person.
Thanks.
So that's kind of who's it for. People with certain beliefs about themselves that are holding them back, they're bringing themselves down. So if you keep trashing yourself, or you don't think you're shit, this would be what it would be for. If you're not a confident person, mantra might be, I'm confident, and then start doing confident things. So not sure, but that's kind of where it goes. That's who it's for. The next one, it's called pranayama. Don't know what that word means. Probably should have looked it up.
Pranayama?
Yeah, pranayama.
Yama.
Pranayama. It's breath control meditation. You're not necessarily just focusing on the sensation of breathing. You are focusing kind of on the pace. So how you are breathing. And so you could think of, box breathing, which is breathe in for the same amount of time, or let's say 4 seconds. You'll breathe in 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and just keep doing that. You could think like Wim Hof breathing, if you're familiar with that. That's a type of breath control stuff. When you see a lot of monks and such, and they have like these very specific ways of breath control. I know in yoga, they have different breath control methods. This is a type of that, or this is kind of like the top, and a lot of things trickle down from there. It is the controlling of your actual breath.
Like
And
Demon
wait,
Slayer.
Yeah. I found that interesting because, Wim Hof method, or in, I think, yoga, it's Tumo breathing.
Okay.
It warms you up and such, and it helps with like adrenaline and blood flow. And so you'll be able to you'll be stronger per se, but you'll be more awake and aware. And it reminded me of Demon Slayer, of how, maybe that's accurate. Maybe in very particular breathing, you're just going to be better. And some people have said that doing Wim Hof breathing and such has helped them, heal faster because of adrenaline and some other things.
Because like you said, that breathing to help the body warm up. I've heard different like labels for that, like even fire breathing.
Yeah. Tumo, fire, Wim Hof, stuff like that. It's slight variations, but it's the same, supposedly the same thing.
I think that's interesting.
And I remember in Demon Slayer when he's trying to do the breath work all day. And I equated that to people trying to do like Wim Hof breathing, for extended periods of time, or breathing to induce hallucinations where they have to breathe heavily for 3 hours or something like that.
Oh, it's crazy. Now
What?
that I think about it, that breathing training that he does, he does it 24/7.
That's what I'm saying. And I forget what it's called, but people breathe a very specific way to induce hallucinations, right? And some of those sessions last like 3 hours. So I thought of that when I'm thinking of like Demon Slayer and their breathing techniques. And also you think when you're lifting, where you place your breath will either help you or hinder you with your movement, especially when doing heavy weight. So you kind of combine the two, and Demon Slayer makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, it does.
And I always thought that was interesting watching
definitely.
that. So yeah, pranayama breathing benefits, calming, de-stressing effect, and help strengthen the lungs. I mean, you are doing breath work, you are using your lungs, and yeah, those are some good benefits for that. It's good for people who are trying to calm down. It's a great place to start because it doesn't require much from you, like box breathing. You can just box breathe. You can just start breathing that way. Wim Hof breathing, maybe you learn it a little bit, and then you can just start breathing. You're just sitting down. You're like, how about I'll just breathe right now?
Just start breathing.
Yeah, you just start breathing in a particular way. You don't really have to put too much to it. And then the last one I have is movement meditation. So the focus is on making a movement or the sensations that occur. So this is kind of like that focused one. I forget what it's called. What did I call it? Oh yeah, focused attention meditation. So I find this one like that, except specific to movement. And they say it could facilitate creativity in the present and being present at the same time. So I think this one's an offshoot of that other meditation, specifically to movement. And I like it because it gets people moving in tune with kind of their body, how to use it. And it could be used as a form of exercise. So if you're like, I want to meditate or I want to exercise, but you're not going to do both, maybe you haven't formed those habits, movement meditation. How about your meditation becomes your movement? And an example that was given was dancers. They have to be very present in what they're doing, but they also have to have creativity with what they're doing. So it's kind of a good mixture of that. And so they're very focused on their creativity, keeping a flow, while also just being in tune with where they're at now. You have to understand where you are in space in order to make another movement. So, and who's it for? If you have a hard time sitting still, this is great. You could just focus on walking. You could focus on running. You could focus on any particular movement. If you don't move a whole lot in a day, this would be a great one because it's a form of exercise, gets your blood pumping. So kind of why I put it down there. It's and you can learn movements. You can learn some cool stuff. So that's what I got for different types of meditation. And all of them are they're easy to get into.
Have you ever dabbled in a few of these, or if any?
Oh yeah, in various ways. Like I was saying, people do it on accident.
Yeah, because that's definitely what I'm getting.
The mindfulness breathing, I remember just like sitting there, I'm stressed out a little bit, and just pacing around. And then I'm like, whoa. You're running your head into the ground pretty much. And so I was just like, I need to focus on something real quick, something even. So I was focusing on my breathing, and then I was just like think about what you're being stressed at, and exactly this meditation, just looking at the thought without judgment, letting it pass by. Another thought comes up regarding similar things, doing that until I felt like I created a space that I could actually go and do something without, being tied up by something stupid that I was thinking about. So that certainly helped me. And, that meta meditation, sending love to other people, that helped me not be so bitter about situations and others. That helped me think about others a lot more and how they're just like me. So that empathy really worked. And I'm not really one for guided meditations. I don't like having someone else's voice in my head.
Yeah, it's something you really need to just look past, and it's really hard.
Although, if you're listening to podcasts and they're bringing you through, say, ideas, like they're going step by step through an idea, or a situation or a thought process, I would count that as a guided meditation, as long as you're focused on that. Because first off, when you're listening to a podcast, it sounds like it's in your head. It sounds like your own thoughts.
That's true.
And so you're focused on that. And when they're bringing you through a thought process, you have to think about that at each step. And so I feel like that could almost count as guided meditations if you do it properly. If you're focused on what they're saying, if you're kind of being guided through a thought process or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. All these are kind of, you do them all the time.
Yeah.
But
realizing them.
Yeah. The only difference, I think, when you call it a meditation is you do it intentionally. And that's what I mean by that is these are training tools as well. If you're like, I suck at focusing, maybe you need to pick one of these that will help you with focusing, and you start out small and you train that shit. Yeah. It almost reminds me of the game Fallout Shelter. You ever play that?
I've seen a little bit.
So they kind of have like little stats, that are like perception or intelligence, and it helps them do a particular job. Yeah. Right. But you can also get these rooms that, like a weight room, it'll help with strength, right? And a school it'll help with intelligence. Yeah. Stuff like that. Okay. That's almost what it is for these meditations. If you're like, I have sucky, intelligence, or say I have sucky focus, whichever one, then you pick your meditation and you go do that, or I have sucky strength, you go lift weights, like that kind of equivalency with your attention and meditation. So if you suck at something, train it. These are training tools, and you're never going to be perfect, but it keeps you sharp.
Yeah, because I can definitely say that all of those I have definitely done a little bit in my lifetime in each category.
Exactly.
Maybe some more than others, but definitely hit pretty much all of them.
And you're not even trying. Yeah. You don't even try, and you hit them at some point. But it might make a difference if you actually try. Think of it like this. You casually, run around. Are you going to be an Olympic athlete? Probably not. But if you train running all the time, you're going to be able to run pretty fast or pretty far. So maybe not an Olympic athlete, but you'll, get better than most people, or be extremely functional more than you were. So I thought that was pretty cool.
No, that's actually really nice. I like how we got the history, a little bit of history of them types, and we just kind of, I feel like we got a good amount.
Now, would you actually start intentionally using this?
I mean, I'm trying. Yeah. I've started some guided meditation every now and then. And I'm going to try and get a mobile app for it. Yeah. It just kind of sucks with mobile apps. It's very prescription type.
Subscription and such.
Because I think most of them right now are about $70 or $80 a year.
What?
Yeah, so it's.
I mean, that's not like much per month, but still, that's
like, $7 a month. I'm just like,
kind of a lot. I mean, go on YouTube, maybe find a playlist.
No, definitely. You can just if you don't have money, just go ahead and YouTube it. Like that's the best way to get easy access.
All these should pretty much be free to do. Yeah, definitely. And if you're just sitting down, you could do all of these. Yeah, in some form or another. So it's something easy to get into.
For me, I'm trying to remove the aspect of looking up a specific type and then taking time to like choosing.
Yeah, just putting it on and.
I'm trying to remove that aspect because I know I will not be able to choose because there's so many of them.
So for me, I'm kind of focusing more on, I'm doing a lot of these, just trying to be better at them, but mainly one that I really need to do is that focused attention meditation. And that's mainly because of school, because I've always sucked at studying. I've always sucked at starting and getting into doing something.
Hey, remember your mantra.
Yeah.
You are good at
You know what?
studying.
I'm actually pretty good at studying.
Yeah,
honestly.
you are good. No, you are good at studying.
I'm good at studying.
You're good at yeah. Exactly.
I'm gonna study. Damn, dude.
Yeah,
But
how the turntable.
But I found I was doing some statics homework, right? It's just some forces and triangles right now.
Okay.
And they don't take that long. It's just there's a bunch to account for, especially when you're new at doing it. So it takes some time. Something I've found that I actually I enjoy doing the homework. It's usually like 4 problems, but I enjoy doing it because I can't do anything else while I'm doing it. I just have to make sure all my variables are set straight. So I have to kind of focus on it a little bit. And this is it's very helpful for studying other things I found. Once doing this homework, I've actually, improved in other areas, because I'll sit down. One sheet of paper is one problem, just so I have enough space. And then I'll have the problem up, and then the step by step, which I won't look at until, either I need it or just to check my answers as I'm going through to save time, right?
Yep.
So I'll kind of pull both of those up. I'll break out my pencil and my calculator, and I'll go through each step. And I found it so enjoyable because I don't have to think about anything else. And the way statics is, for right now at least, is you kind of set up the problem, and then it just kind of sets itself with algebra. Like you end up going through the motions. So you think hard a little bit in the beginning, and then then you're just going through the flow for the rest of it. So I kind of enjoy it a little bit, and I've been able to focus on it. And so I've been using that as a tool to help me study for my other stuff, just to be able to lay everything out in front of you, get what you need prepared, and then pull up what you need to, and think for a little bit, and then, go through a flow. Think for a little bit and go through a flow, and just kind of do that over and over again. So
Okay. Wow.
that's one thing that I'm trying to utilize. But anyway,
All right.
try to meditate, man.
Yeah,
try it out.
Meditate.
Even just for a little bit.
Focus on your breathing. Don't forget to breathe.
Just be aware and send love in all directions.
Remember to manually breathe.
Manually breathe.
Yeah. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. You know what that breathing does?
Hyperventilate.
Yeah.
If you do deep hyperventilations, I think that's close to Wim Hof breathing. Because you're supposed to breathe in like really fast, like, and then relax. And so you're like, and then you like do some holds somewhere. So
That makes sense. I've seen angry people do that.
they heat up, they get visibly warm. All right. And I guess with that, put into the comments, what technique you're going to try. Again, if you got a topic that you're interested in, that we might be interested in, throw it in those comments as well on YouTube, and we'll look at those. And I think that's all.
Subscribe, hit that notification bell button.
And we'll see you in like 2 weeks.
Yep. 2 weeks.
All right.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.